Hi, I'm Jayne Reardon, Executive Director of the Illinois Supreme Court Commission on Professionalism. Since 2016, the Commission on Professionalism has brought together legal professionals from across the state to gather in Chicago to discuss the state of legal services. I'm here with Mark Palmer, the Chief Counsel of the Commission, and Stephanie Villinski, our Deputy Director. We're going to discuss what the hundreds of registrants for the Future Is Now conference need to know about the conference coming up. The Future Is Now will be held virtually April 27th to 29th. We've divided the content into 3 short interactive sessions focused on future law topics, well-being, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. Mark, let's start with day 1, the Future Law and Legal Tech Day. What can we expect?
Well, a lot of those changes have been, changes in legal technology have been rapidly changing over the past year, especially going from convenience to a requirement that those lawyers have had to embrace technology and other processes to practice more effectively and efficiently. And in the legal profession, we commonly look to the rules first. And the rule number 1 we find in the legal ethics realm is Rule Point 1, competency. And we are going to look directly at that rule and how it's changed, especially over the past 10 years. It was almost a decade ago that the ABA adopted the change to Comment 8 that required lawyers to look at the advantages and benefits and risks associated with relevant technology. Now, fast forward to today, and we have 39 states, including the recent California adoption of this rule. But what does it mean for practicing attorneys on a day-in, day-out basis on how they deliver legal services? Well, we will take a hard look at that redefinition of competency and look at ways we can have stronger and more efficient takeaways that you can implement in your practice starting tomorrow. And in doing so, we hope to bring more efficiencies on how you deliver for your customers, your clients, and how you change and how you bring them better value day in and day out. The changes we've seen in the profession haven't been unique to just technology, though. Legal organizations have had to rethink attorney well-being along this time as well, especially with the rise in mental health challenges. Stephanie, where does that take us?
Thanks, Mark. We learned in 2016 from 2 studies done, one for attorneys and one for law students, that there is a high rate of both substance use and mental health issues in the legal profession, and it starts in law school. The profession looked at this issue in 2017, and the National Task Force on Lawyer Wellbeing, to which Jayne was part of, released a wonderful report that provided strategies and action items to address this stark data from the 2016 studies. We are now 3 years later, and I'm excited to hear the speakers talk about what has been done in well-being in the legal profession since the release of the report and what still needs to be done. And then in particular, as we know, we've all experienced the COVID-19 pandemic, and we've read the reports in the news that the general population is experiencing more mental health issues than before the pandemic. And this applies to the legal profession. So you will hear from the speakers practical ideas as to how to increase both your well-being and your resiliency, as well as to, if you notice something with a colleague, what are some things and practical things you can do to help them. And so not only is well-being the smart thing to do, it's also an economical thing to do. And I'm excited that we're now starting to talk about, and you'll hear from the speakers, how no matter what size firm or organization you work for, your business plan should include well-being, because a healthy staff, team, etc., not only makes the job more enjoyable, but it also leads to less malpractice issues and better outcomes for clients, and therefore more profitability. So the lack of a healthy workplace impacts everybody there, no question. However, we know that people of color, in particular women of color, leave the law at a higher rate and don't make it to positions such as partner. Therefore, we are focusing on diversity, equity, and inclusion on the third day of the conference. Jayne, can you tell us what we can look forward to on that day?
Thanks, Stephanie. Yes, we have known for a long time that the profession has a problem with diversity and inclusion. And as you point out, Stephanie and Mark, the pandemic has brought this into sharper focus. The pandemic, plus the social unrest that began with the George Floyd death and has persisted through today, has really brought the issues of diversity, inclusion, and equity to the forefront. So we have speakers coming at this issue from a lot of different perspectives: the judiciary, practicing lawyers, and corporate counsels. The topics are including such things as how to revitalize and make that pipeline to the profession work. What is the role of GCs in demanding greater equity from outside counsel? And how can we be better allies to one another? What does it mean to be an ally? We all have our hearts in the right place, but sometimes we don't know what to do or say to help somebody. We're going to discuss, our speakers are going to discuss strategies for how to approach workplace and everyday situations where you need to speak up on behalf of someone else. So it's going to be a really chock-full 3 days. The Future is Now will be held April 27th to 29th. Registration is open at thefutureisnow.tocivility.org. We'll include a link in the notes. 5.2 hours of CLE credit will be given for lawyers, and judicial education credits are pending. We hope you join us to debate the future of the legal profession. Thank you and be well.